Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Today is Thursday, August 13, and we're gathered, as always, live here on Facebook at 10:30 in the morning to take a look at headline stories and comments and thoughts and suggestions and ideas that affect our lives here in Puerto Vallarta as an English-speaking community. There's great headlines today, some serious ones, some fun ones. So I had such a great time putting together this morning's stuff to share with you. And as always, I'm always so freaking happy to see people that are familiar to the broadcast that are here just about every day. And that makes me so very happy. And if you're here for the first time, my name is Paco, and we'd love to know that you're here for the first time. So if you type the word new in your comments, this will allow us the opportunity to give you a proper welcome. Also, if you have any specific questions or comments that you would like to share with everyone, that you would like to see addressed during the broadcasts, please let us know by writing the letter Q before your question or comment. I would be so very glad to keep an eye for it during the broadcast. And if not, after each broadcast, I go about acknowledging every single comment that I can see and answering questions that are answerable. Sometimes we don't have all the answers for everything. And of course, for those that are not familiar with the broadcast, after each broadcast, we share show notes or links to everything discussed in 3 places: on YouTube, on Facebook, and also on our website, so that you can explore all these topics and ideas and suggestions at leisure. Great. Oh my God, the cookie lady's in the house. Cookie lady, I've been looking for you because I need some pedos de monja. Hopefully we'll touch base sometime in the near future. I heard that Cookie Lady is now making empanadas, which sounds absolutely delicious to me. Um, ba-dum-bum-bim-bum-bum. Oh, Copley Square. Paul is in Copley Square. Paul is always in different places in Boston. And of course, I lived in Boston for 19 years. So every time I see that Paul is reporting from this place or that place, it brings back all kinds of wonderful memories. Mark is in Tijuana. Judy is a Jersey girl. Cliff is in San Diego. And Gayoff is right around the corner. They just reopened their bar. So we hope that they're doing good with their brand new reopening. And Logan is complaining of being out of shape. You know, I've started walking more and more now that my car is on permanent standby. So let's go out for walks, everyone. Let's go out for walks. Let's see. Question. Colette. I've never been fond of blue, but it's what is clean. It's what I wore last night to go out for dinner, and I smelled it this morning, and it didn't smell so bad. So I figured, screw it, I can wear it. And I can't believe I just said that. Outside voice. Saskatchewan, Ken Morrison. Ken, what are you doing so far away? Are you still looking after your mom? I hope she's well. Spokane, Washington is in the house. So nice to see folks from all over the place. But the fact that you're so far away and yet you're so close to Puerto Vallarta is just really awesome. And Dale is on a ferry to Vancouver Island. I mean, how wonderful are your lives, coming and going places? This is absolutely terrific. Anyhow, enough hellos. I think we this is a good moment to get going, and I have some news um, to share with you, and I hope you'll find everything that we have interesting because we're going to talk about some comments that Lopez-Gatell made about using face masks. We're going to talk about how Russia contaminates news and headlines in such a way that they alter elections in other countries like the United States. And I didn't think it was possible, but I found this awesome article that everyone should read, even if you're just intrigued by this, because it's real. It happens, and I didn't think it could happen, but it really does happen. Um, and what? President Trump is worried about shower water pressure. Now, what would be the perfect Spanish nasty expression to answer that with? That's going to be your homework for the rest of the broadcast. I'm tempted to just like put it out there, but I'm going to wait to see if you have any colorful metaphors to respond to the fact that President Trump is worried about shower water pressure. I think that's priceless. We're also going to talk about what else do we have? We have, oh, strange and awesome, weird hotel rooms that you can enjoy here in our country in Mexico. And in a conversation, I had a small exchange this morning with Scott Rode, whose father documented Puerto Vallarta with his camera back in the 1950s. And I'm going to show you how to get access to these beautiful collection of photographs. And we're going to talk about this. Oh no, oh no. Guess who else mispronounced Biden's vice president selection yesterday? Oh, I can't believe this. And yes, I heard that Sarah Cooper, the woman that has made headlines because she mouths President Trump's statements, she's getting a Netflix special. See, there's all kinds of interesting and fun stuff to worry about today or to enjoy today. So let us jump into it. I'm going to start with the headlines, and here goes the little song. So Hugo López-Gatell made headlines yesterday, and a lot of headlines about this statement that he warns against the obligatory use of face masks. Let me give you some context before you start rocking in your chair. Things have been really bad in the state of Colima, COVID-19 wise, to the effect that the governor of Colima, and we talked about this just a few days ago, is working on legislation that would make mandatory the use of face masks in the state of Colima. And furthermore, he proposes arresting anyone that is out and about without a face mask. Now, on the one hand, this sounds like a measure that would be an important measure to take, but Hugo López-Gatell reminds us of two important things. Number one, the obligatory use of face masks violates basic human rights. It's one of the aspects that Hugo López-Gatell mentions in his statement. He is not saying that they're not useful. He is saying that they are a very effective supplemental way to counteract the spread and dissemination of COVID-19. But he also brings up two important points. Number one, the issue about human rights. And number two, he talks about the nature of Mexico and how we are a people that if we're told what to do, we're bound to react against it. You know, if I tell another person and I'm not an authority, well, you're doing something wrong because you're not wearing it, we know that there's a possibility of violence. If policemen or authorities are empowered to tell people you have to wear this, you have to obligate them to wear it, it opens up the possibility of authority abuse. And López-Gatell was very quick to point out a specific example. He did not mention it by state, but he did say we have a situation that happened in one of Mexico's states when an individual got killed because police abused the authority when they stopped him for not wearing a face mask in public. And of course, we know that he was referring to the case of construction worker Giovanni Lopez, who was murdered in our state a few months ago, a couple months ago. And this happened allegedly as a result of our governor making the use of face masks mandatory and asking the police force to take measures against people that didn't wear it. So even though this is a complicated thing, actually, William, where do you come from with this kind of a statement? I'm just curious because that is so crazy preposterous. Please elaborate because you may know something that we don't. And if you do, I'd love it if you share it. Otherwise, if you're just putting words together one after the other, well, also explain to us why you made such an interesting combination. I think Gatell has a point. I think Gatell has a point. In a perfect world, it would be so nice if everybody understood the fact that face masks are important and that we should all wear them. But unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. So whether it will become mandatory in some states or not is a matter of checking out the pros and the cons. I think Gatell has a very important point. We live in a place where police in Mexico is known to take extra steps when it comes to authority, and police is prone to abuse authority. And this happens in the United States too, where Trump is president. So I don't know about whether they're having coffee together or not, William, but I do know that this thought-provoking issue is a very important to consider. I mean, do we want to live in a country where we're forced to do something as basic as wearing a face mask, or do we want to live in a country where people are influenced positively to do so? And I hope that by continuing to enforce some of the campaigns that our governments have been deploying at local, state, and federal level, making it mandatory will not be a necessary evil. But Gatell paid off by Trump or something, that smells like fake news to me, William. Keep an eye on your comments. Of course, a Jalisco-based newspaper distorted the news and said Lopez-Gatell asks Colima to not repeat Jalisco's mistake, and that is a misleading. Headline. Unfortunately, we have them, and I am going to understand. Oh, I see. Let's see. William doesn't understand why Gatell ignores what almost all the world's foremost epidemiologists say. He refuses to implement testing, and now he says face masks are bad. My point is that people refuse to wear masks voluntarily. You're not listening, William, and I'm not going to make it a back and forth between you and me because we're not going to waste everybody else's time. You are not listening. I never said that. He said was that face masks are bad. He said that the imposing of face masks can have severe consequences. So read carefully, listen carefully. Pilar Perez seems to chime on that statement. Again, I'm not saying that one or the other is good. I am saying that they both have consequences, and ultimately, I'm just sharing the headlines. You guys interpret them in whichever way you want. Moving on to other things, this photo was sent to me by Claude Chenet yesterday, and he asked me to figure out what this was about. And fortunately, I was able to find a news item that goes along with this. There was a demonstration yesterday against the murder of women in Puerto Vallarta and Banderas Bay. And in Spanish, just so you know, we have such a word as homicidio, which translates to homicide. But because we have many words that are gender specific in our language, in Spanish, when a homicide is the homicide of a woman or a female or a feminine, a woman, the word is called feminicide. And there's no such word in English, I know that, but I just showed you the word is feminicidio. So apparently there was a demonstration yesterday against the many acts of violence that our destination has endured. It apparently started all the way out at the letters at that welcome Puerto Vallarta at the entrance of the city, and some of the banners ended up all the way in Los Arcos del Malecón. And we can see how the people that were in the demonstration are seen here at the Malecón showing the banner. So that would explain why the banner was there. Um, in other local news, Nayarit governor confirms that his wife, his mother, his sister, his son, and his grandmother all have COVID-19. That goes to show, and what the reason why he went out and made this whole statement public was to make sure that people understood that this can happen to everyone, and and it is unfortunate, but this is how easy the the disease spreads. Unfortunately, once somebody gets it, and it is sad. We hope that they can all recover. Interestingly enough, I don't read here whether the governor himself has COVID-19 or not, and I have not seen any headlines to that effect. We do know that the mayor of Banderas Bay, of Bahia de Banderas, has COVID-19. We talked about this a few days ago. This other headline talks to us about how complicated international flights are, and how between borders being closed and several countries mandating quarantine, and people just feeling a little iffy about spending so much time in a confined space, has made international airline flying complicated. And there's what's interesting about this article is that there are a number of graphics that show us what has happened with international flights. For example, we see, according to this graph, that flights from the United Kingdom have fallen down by 68.4%. Same thing, Argentina, Spain, Colombia, Germany, Brazil, and United States. They've fallen down by 55.2%, and so forth and so on. There are other graphs that show the number of passengers coming from other countries last year as compared to this year. For example, last year at this time, we had 10,983 in the month of June, I'm sorry. And now we have 5,273, which reflects exactly the same amount. And then we look at how the numbers have fallen according to the different or the larger international arrival airports in the country. Here we see that Puerto Vallarta shows a 92.5 decrease of our international arrivals in the month of June. So even though the article is in Spanish, you may find this interesting to read. Before I move on with more news, let me take a quick look at your comments, because I see a couple of things flying by, and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything that is particularly important. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Oh, it was Biden who mispronounced the name of Miss Harris. That is unfortunate. Someone here reminded me the other day of Lincoln Center Sweeney Todd. Lincoln Center Sweeney Todd is a masterpiece. And I can tell you why later. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just write Sweeney Todd in your comments, and I will put together a quick and dirty love letter for this masterpiece by Stephen Sondheim. I see a link to the shower head and water pressure article. I am definitely going to read that later on. William, I don't mean to get in your case. I love you awful, but I do pull out my claws whenever something doesn't make sense to me. But it's not personal. It's never personal. Boom, ba-dim, bum, bim, bum, bum. And I'm in Pilar again. I'm not saying one or the other is better. I'm just saying that I would applaud someone that has enough knowledge about the world to really be able to tell with certain validity that the mandatory use of face masks is more effective. I think again there are pros and cons. There's a question here. Is it a burden for the cluster to send issues not understood by us? I certainly do not want to add to your plate. We all know how hard you work for us. Um, I'm not sure that I follow Claude. I welcome everything that is sent to me, whether it's links or criticism, positive or negative. I mean, everything that I receive with a lot of gratitude. So don't worry about that, Claude. Sometimes I wonder if it is complicated or awkward for the broadcast if somebody brings in something that is very specific. So I try to keep the broadcasts flow in a way that most people can relate to something at any given time. For example, I just mentioned a wonderful musical by Stephen Sondheim, knowing that maybe a lot of people out there don't even know about musicals or don't care about them. So I always try to be a little careful. But it is not a burden for me. It is certainly hope it's not a burden for you. And I'm close enough that you can always slap me when you don't like the way the programs are flowing or if you'd like to see something specific mentioned. I love to make sure that the experience here is useful and productive and inspiring for you. Just finished my quarantine on Monday, was not as bad as expected. I would imagine, Brad, that you mean you went somewhere to quarantine after you were here because we don't have a mandatory quarantine. And that's another topic that becomes really complicated when you consider international travel. I mean, if we had mandatory quarantine in Mexico, boy, would that complicate things. Would it be an important measure to take against the spread of coronavirus? Probably, but it would certainly complicate things. And I think we are just talking about the same thing, Jorge. Um, am I planning a video tour of public beaches in Puerto Vallarta? I could certainly do that, Barbara. I don't know if what you're looking for is where to go and how to enjoy them, or if what you're looking for is how crazy are they? If you can point me in the right direction, because I think they're two very different tours. If you want to know where you can go to the beach and feel comfortable and enjoy the beach, that's one thing. If you want to know where can I go to the beach because I want to enjoy the amenities at that beach, that's another thing. If you want to see where are the beaches where people are wigging out, that is a third thing entirely. So please point me in the right direction and we'll certainly go there. We'll certainly go there. Those of us that work here on a full-time basis often joke about the fact that when people talk about the beach, I often respond, I didn't know there was a beach. So there you have it. I live in the state of... Okay, there's another question. Where to go and how to enjoy them, particularly swimming. Where have you gone to the beach, Barbara? Are you a local person? Because I would imagine that you have favorite beaches that you enjoy. If you're not a local person, just let me know so that we can clarify accordingly. And again, I'll be happy to go in the direction that would make most sense. Let me go back to the headlines because we still have quite a few to cover, and it's already 10:53. I certainly hope you guys are not in a rush. There is this interesting research that came out that has to do with the behavior of Mexican tourists. And this article says, I suppose it's a survey, that out of 4 Mexican tourists, only 3 are respecting sanitary protocols at hotels. Interesting. In other words, 1 out of 4 doesn't give a shit. The other 3 apparently do. The study also shows that, and this is, of course, when hotels are saying, hey, you have to do this because this is what the guidelines are. This article also shows that 65% of Mexican travelers would rather go to destinations uh, that are less um, popular or inhabited, as opposed to 35% that would like to go to popular destinations such as Puerto Vallarta. I thought it was interesting. It also says that 80% of travelers, national travelers, would rather stay at hotels of well known brands because that generates more trust in their decision making. This would indicate that, for small hotels and whatnot, it is important to um, always brand yourself in such a way that people are going to trust staying with you. And this is extremely important. In terms of travel preferences, according to the survey, 1 out of 4 tourists will hope to fly domestically within Mexico in the next 3 months, whereas only 1 out of 6 would think of flying internationally. These are just curious and interesting facts from local travelers. Um, and let me see, do we have another? Oh, yes, I have another one that I want to share with you, and another one more. Do you really have to wash your mask after every use? Short answer is yes. This comes from Vox, which always shares wonderful explainer type videos for us to enjoy. You may want to have a read at this, although I'm sure that you are already washing your mask after every use, everyday use. And this is the article that I was referring to earlier when I was talking about the whole misinformation that comes from Russia, and how in Russia apparently information gets distorted to damage um, politicians in the United States. And this article is something that I found on Yahoo News, and it is based on an article from Business Insider, who quotes that it was the New York Times that reported on Tuesday on how a story on Portland protesters somehow the Russian information system chose to emphasize the fact that a Bible was burnt, and then it turned into many Bibles were turned, and then American politicians, including Donald Trump Jr. and Senator Ted Cruz, retweeted those misleading claims and footage, and all of a sudden, the news was completely distorted. And this is a beautiful article because it follows the path of the story uh, point by point. And again, I thought it was absolutely fascinating in the way that it gives us um, a glimpse as to how these stories get distorted. Um, I will, of course, share the link with you so that you can take a look at it in your own time. Let me take a quick look before we move into the leisurely stuff. Gigi wants to know why Patty Aguilar was arrested, or is it not relevant? Let me answer this. Patty Aguilar is a reporter from Nayarit that is well connected with politicians at a state level, and maybe, I say maybe because I'm not completely well informed about this story, maybe also politicians at a national level. Apparently, she denounced some disturbing and illegal procedures in the Nayarit State prosecutor's office last year. And then she brought them to the attention of Mexico's President Andres Manuel López Obrador. And apparently, the Nayarit State prosecutor's office has been waiting for the right moment to find enough charges against her to put her in jail, and this has happened. Now, do I know enough about whether she is right or wrong? Is she guilty or innocent? I do not. But I do know that the state prosecutor's office made a statement about her arrest, and there's enough material to be researched here, there, and everywhere. If you folks want to know more about this story, please let me know. I think it could be interesting to follow, but I don't think, on the other hand, that it has a direct relevance on our lives. But again, I'll go where you send me. Just write a comment to that effect, and we'll keep that in mind. Um, let's see. Let's see. Let's move into the weather and leisurely stuff. Why not? 26 degrees. It is actually 1 degree cooler than yesterday. Um, it is 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and humidity is at a high 92%. Carrot Weather says, "Thank the maker, you needed a bath." Precipitation, chances of rain is at 27%. And apparently, according to the weather, we're going to enjoy rain until the evening with light and variable winds. Tomorrow, Friday, it'll be humid and partly cloudy throughout the day. And Saturday, it'll also be humid and partly cloudy throughout the day. And that's what we have for the weather. Let me come back to my big screen before we move into something else. Terry, there's nothing impressive about it. Part of what I do is I go through the news and I arbitrarily select what I think that you might find interesting. I am a compulsively curious person, and I do try to, keep an eye on as many things as possible. But you never cease to surprise me, a community, because sometimes you point out news to me that I was not familiar with. So it is always great. It is always great. Ellen says that she'd like to understand more about the arrest. Again, if enough people tell me this is something that you're interested in, I'll be happy to follow it. If not, I will follow other stories. The same thing goes to this thing that Gigi was asked. No, not Gigi. I'm sorry about that. This thing that Barbara Howe was asking about, the beaches and stuff like that. Barbara, I don't think we've had a lot of conversations. I'm not entirely sure if you're a local or if you're a tourist. If you're a local, I would imagine you already know where the beaches are. If you're a tourist, there are a lot of resources on the web that have information like what you're looking for. So if you can let me know specifically, I'll be happy to go there. There's another person, Catherine. Hello, Catherine, that is interested in the arrest of the reporter. Okay, that's three, and that's two in a row. So I'll be looking at this, and I will bring back a more thorough uh, commentary about what is going on tomorrow, because I've been looking at a few of the headlines. Speaking of headlines, I want you to guess, and if you know, don't spoil it, but do you have any idea of who is the first drag queen to be featured in a United States post stamp? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Do, 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 do. No, that was bad. Okay, enough. If you don't, I will be happy to tell you the first drag queen to ever be featured in a United States postal stamp is none other than Bugs Bunny. As you know, Bugs Bunny turned 80 not too long ago, and the postal service in the United States came out with a commemorative. Oh, did I just make up a word? With a commemorative, with this special edition, with this special editions of Bugs Bunny post stamps, which I would love to get a hold of just to put stickers on my refrigerator. And Tomas knew about this. This is really cute. Yay, Tomas, you get a lollipop or something, maybe a cocktail if I ever meet you. I think this is awesome. I love my Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny was so queer and shamelessly rude when it was allowed, before all the cartoons started getting politically correct. Yes, Bugs Bunny finally came out. So we love our Bugs Bunny, and if you haven't seen old Bugs Bunny cartoons in a while, just find yourself a brownie, or whatever it is that you choose to alter your mind with, and enjoy these animations, because they are absolutely priceless. Oh, my bugs, says Karen Miller. Movie theaters open in Mexico City, and we have this fascinating photo essay that was published in El Universal. There's no such thing as you putting chingaderas on your hot dogs anymore because everything is uber sanitized. So here we see somebody, buying a ticket. Everybody's wearing face masks and plastic coverings. This legend here says, "We're happy to see you back." And then there are more photos. People ready to serve you with all the necessary utensils. Um, and your temperature gets checked. At least this seems to be Cinepolis, and this is in Mexico City. But because it is a chain, we can expect the same kind of experience locally. Look at that sexy bathroom, where one person pees and the other one doesn't. And this is you getting your popcorn. Check out the employee wearing plastic gloves, which we know are completely useless. But hey, let us reinforce the confidence on the consumer. This is a photo of theater goers sitting in the hall. We can see that some of the seats have been cordoned off. So this is how they are controlling how much or how many people can sit at a movie theater at any given time. It'll be interesting how they correlate that with all the computerized systems that they have when you buy your ticket and you get your seat assignment. They must have them pre-blocked or something. And let's see, antibacterial gel everywhere in the bathroom, super clean, and little children also getting all the necessary precautionary measures, and indications of safe distancing all over the place. Again, we had a little survey yesterday. We realized that most of us are not going to the movie theaters anytime soon. I'm keeping my options open, and I want to point out that Tenet, the new film by renowned director Christopher Nolan, will come to the movie theaters in Mexico in September. I took a look at the Cinepolis website, and they actually had an opening date of October. I tried to get into the website this morning, but was unable to do so. But there you have it. Of course, this whole business of the pandemic is resulting in strange bedfellows. A new Broadway musical will premiere on Netflix due to COVID-19. This is a musical about Lady Diana, a new musical, and it's going to premiere on Netflix ahead of its 2021 Broadway opening. According to this article, movies like Tom Hanks's Greyhound was forced to premiere on streaming services instead of the big screen, and Broadway is having to do the same thing. There's this new musical that will be filmed without an audience in the Longacre Theater, and it will appear on Netflix ahead of its Broadway opening, rescheduled for May 25th, 2021. We don't know exactly when this is going to be screened on Netflix, but again, it is interesting to see how all these different providers of entertainment are starting to seriously explore new avenues and new ways to get the entertainment out and about. Yet another indication of the fact that we're still going to be dealing with the coronavirus pandemic for quite some time. Speaking of Netflix, there is a new documentary series called Immigration Nation, which is available. I have the trailer available for you to enjoy. And apparently this takes a close look at the immigration control the ICE. I don't know what the ICE means in English, but it is the immigration control of the United States. And apparently the Donald Trump government was trying to avoid having this documentary be available to the public before the elections. Clearly they failed, and if you want to enjoy it, I will show you the trailer. You can find it on YouTube, or of course, if you're a Netflix user, you can of course go and just tune into your Netflix account and find it there. In other news that are completely unrelated, but why not, there is yet another bear that has been clearly photographed roaming through trash in Monterrey. This particular neighborhood of Monterrey, called Santa Catarina, is quite close to the mountains, and there are a fair number of bears living there. So this must be another friendly bear that is out and about. Also, completely unrelated, before we get to the very last bit of news that I want to share with you, I found this bucket list article in El Universal that shows the weirdest, most unusual hotel rooms that you can actually spend the night in Mexico. These include this very curious bamboo um, treehouse in the Playa Viva Hotel in Guerrero. But then there's also some sexy pantyhose. No, that has nothing to do with it. I'm just kidding. There's Casa Caracol in San Luis Potosi, and this is right next to the Edward James Garden, which is a really wonderful landmark. If you don't know about the Edward James Garden, um, it is definitely on my bucket list, and it should be on everybody's bucket list. Anyhow, this is called Casa Caracol. Then there's this place in Puebla. Where is it? There's this place in Puebla, which is, they call it Cuevaña, which is a wordplay between cueva, which means cave, and cabaña, which means cabana, of course. Um, then there's the Tube Hotel, which is actually made out of water ducts. The Tube Hotel is in Tepoztlan, Morelos, and I think there's another one. Oh yes, there's the Tequila Barrel Hotel in Tequila, Jalisco, where you can go and you can stay in ginormous tequila barrels. Oh my God, Terry has never heard of the Edward James Garden. Please, please don't wait till I tell you about it. Just Google Edward James Garden. It is in San Luis Potosi. You will think you were transported into The Hobbit or someplace like that. Edward James was a botanist, I believe, and he created this spectacular sculpture abundant, freaky fantasy garden that is definitely something that everybody would want to visit. Um, in Valle de Guadalupe, in wine country, Baja California, there is this bubble hotel called Campera. And that's yet another place where you would enjoy staying that is a little bit unusual. Let me take a quick look at your last minute comments before I move into my conversation with Scott Rowood. Let me take a quick look. Bam, 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 bam. We love Bugs Bunny. Yes, everybody loves Bugs Bunny. Uh, let's see. Jamie quotes real. Oh, you're answering one another. That's lovely. Um, la 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 la. Is the VIP lounge open at the airport? I have no idea. I hope somebody does. Um, da, 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 da. No specific questions, no specific questions, but Raymond wants to watch the Lady D musical. That makes two of us. Uh, yes, Candace, this is true. I think what goes on in Chipinque in Monterrey is a consequence of people, and this is just a very personal take. When we build so close to nature, nature pollutes our living environment and vice versa. And it often comes with unexpected and unfortunate consequences. Tequila barrels, count me in, says Karen. Fortunately, that hotel is not far from us, Karen. And at some point, maybe when pandemic allows us to travel a little bit more, we will be able to go to a place like that. Candace comments on Sir Edward James Gardens, and I would imagine, Candace, you've been there. Knowing you, you're such a big explorer. And again, everybody Google this because it's one of those surreal Mexican um, uh, masterpieces. And yes, Jorge calls it the surrealist garden is in Gilitla. Giliti, oh my God, yes, Gilitla. Gilita. I wonder if they pronounce it Xilitla or Gilitla. X in Spanish is usually pronounced as a J. He had a hotel in the village. Definitely take a look at it. Um, oh, thank you very much, Colette. Femicide is a word in English. I didn't know this. You see, earlier today, I asked Alexa. No, I'm not talking to you. Shut up. I asked Alexa.
Perdone,
Oh,
eso no lo sé.
shut up. Bye bye. I asked Alexa what the English word for feminicidio was, and Alexa told me that the English word was homicide in her sexy voice. But I'm not surprised that there is such a word. Thank you for sharing very much. How did I find the unusual hotels, Sherry? The same way I find everything that I look at. Every morning I go through about 25 to 30 news outlets, some from local, statewide, national, and international, looking for things that might be interesting for me to read and for me to share with you. That's how I found out about the unusual hotels. And I thought it was absolutely a wonderful bit of news. And because we need to have things to look forward to, I thought I would share it with you. Candace confirms she has been there. So maybe we can talk to Candace and have another interview. This time we'll use better microphones so that everybody can hear it. And Candace has photos on her Facebook. That's wonderful. And with that in mind, I want to talk to you about Scott Road. And I never know, Scott, if I pronounce your last name properly, if it's Road or Rowood. But anyhow, Scott came to the offices of Vallarta Lifestyles many, many years ago when I was still the managing editor. And he came with this amazing collection of black and white and color photographs that his father, a Canadian photojournalist, had taken in Puerto Vallarta back in the 1950s. And it is stunning black and white images like you've never seen before. Of course, his father worked for major magazines and so forth and so on, travel magazines, airline magazines, and I may be stretching. I don't remember. Maybe he worked for National Geographic. I'm not sure. But I do remember he had some photographs published on Life magazine about life in Puerto Vallarta in the 1950s. At the time, Scott was looking for an art gallery in Puerto Vallarta that would be interested in presenting a large format photograph exhibition of his father's work. To that effect, Vallarta Lifestyles, we asked him to hold on to the high resolution images of his father's work so that if such a collection was ever exhibited in Puerto Vallarta, we would have access to the images and we would be able to promote them properly. At the time, as a managing editor of the publication, I made a promise to Scott that we would never publish his photographs, his father's photographs, without authorization. And I'm proud to say that I kept that promise because that's what we do, and that's how important the value of a photograph is or should be. Well, Scott, as far as I know, never got his Puerto Vallarta exhibition, but he did create this wonderful website where he showcases the photography of his late father, Harry, and where you can actually obtain prints. And if you go to the galleries, there is a specific gallery of Puerto Vallarta in black and white that is absolutely out of this world stunning, with some images of our downtown area. There is this fabulous image of the Malecón, where the Malecón turns. This is what it looked like. Check it out. There were only a few buildings, and the rest of it, this would be like the hotel zone. There was nothing there. And then there's this other great photograph that I absolutely loved of Los Muertos Beach. Here it is. We know those rocks. Those rocks are still in Los Muertos. And here at the very end, we can see the Church of Guadalupe. And this would be Gringo Gulch up here. There was no Emiliano Zapata. There was nothing there. And this is back in the early 1950s. Again, looking at life in Puerto Vallarta in the 1950s through these photographs is absolutely phenomenal. This is people coming in and out of the Church of Guadalupe. And this is people trying to cross the Rio Cuale. Again, the collection is absolutely wonderful, and it is a pleasure to share it with you. And as always, I'm going to show you the bookmark. This building here, for example, this building is still on the Malecón. It's still there. And I remember at some point in Vallarta Lifestyles, we did a collection of these photographs, and we selected some in which we could do like the before and after. This is another view of the Rio Quale from the Emiliano Zapata side. There was not even an island. The island absolutely formed um, artificially. It just sort of, not artificially, it created itself randomly, and all of a sudden there were two separate streams coming down to the ocean, and that's how the Isla Rio Quale came to be. And oh my God, it's 11:20. We really went at it today. I'm really sorry, but there was just a lot of fun stuff to share with you. As always, I am so grateful for your comments, your thoughts, your reactions, your suggestions, your ideas. I'm grateful for your company and your inspiration. And I am grateful for your contributions. If you find something that you found interesting, humorous, inspiring, useful, or anything else, please remember that Coffee and Headlines is a community based project. It is thanks to you that we are able to share all this wonderful information. And it's thanks to you and the community that you've made me a part of that I personally find my day to day life in Puerto Vallarta a lot more pleasant, a lot more livable. So, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay kind, stay inspired, and stay in touch. And I will see you again tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, I will hopefully see you again soon. Have a great day.